here on the Noob stream. Na'Vi have been at all 3 former international TI finals.
10 seconds.
Now they've gone out
remaining.
pretty early, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, shame to see them go. Kind of a shock. And Alliance, of course, champions from last year have gone out. So it's going to be a brand new champion, 2 brand new finalists.
Well, IG were the champion.
That's true, but that's true. But from last year, not going to be Alliance or Na'Vi. Anyway, if you're new to Dota, this is the place to be. We're going to give you guys an overview of the game, take you through it, explain everything along the way. If you've got any questions, hashtag new to Dota, go ahead and hit us up with your questions there. We'll do our best to answer them.
Yeah. Shout out to the guys on Twitter and on Twitch chat, by the way, who are actually answering questions for everyone who asks as well, because we obviously can't really answer every single question, and they're doing a really good job as well.
LGD-Gaming. So we're into the draft. This is the draft stage where you've got both captains have a chance to build a team of 5. They also ban 5 heroes that they think might counter them, or that they don't want to have to face. And the heroes we've seen picked up here, we've got Death Prophet. We could just click on the Exorcism Ultimato there, please, Blitz, and have a little look at it here. This is what it looks like when she's using her ultimate, which is her ultimate ability, her most powerful spell. That's what it looks like. It's all those ghosts. Does a lot of damage to heroes, does a lot of damage to towers, very strong in a team fight and pretty much all round. We also have Chronosphere on Faceless Void. Chronosphere is like a big bubble in time. Only Void, this is including his own teammates, only Void can move within that Chronosphere. So it's very good for starting fights. You pop that Chronosphere, you can hold people in place, get your team to do a lot of damage to them. You've got to be careful how you place it, you don't want to catch your friends in there. Speaking of ultimates, we've got Razor. His ultimate looks like this. Big cloud of lightning, does a lot of damage to enemies and to structures around him. Big in a team fight, and his other ability is Static Link. This is quite an important one for him. He holds this static link on another hero. The longer that link is up, the more damage he leeches from that person. So the fight wants to get Razor, wants the fight to go on and on and on. And then when he deals more and more damage, then when he starts hitting people, it does a lot. We've also got Invoker, very interesting hero. We can't show you any of his spells because he has 10 of them, so it's impossible to preview. He can sort of queue up he can 2 of the 10 spells to his command, and they can be all kinds of things. A wall of ice, a giant meteor, flaming meteor from space drops down, a sunstrike, which is a sort of ion cannon blaster from an orbital platform, sort of, hits a space, can do a lot of damage to a hero. He can also summon a couple of, they're called Forged Spirits, like a couple of lava dudes to help out, a whole bunch of stuff anyway. So big team fight hero, causes a lot of chaos. And when we talk about team fights, we're talking more about multiple heroes fighting against multiple heroes. A lot of the time you'll see 1 or 2 heroes fighting maybe 1 or 2 heroes, but the team fight stage of the game is when it's 5v5, tends to be far more sort of mid-game.
10 seconds remaining.
At this stage in the game, it's a lot down to the strategy with the draft and that kind of stuff. And IG have been playing Invoker quite a lot in the games coming up to this. And I think LGD are thinking, okay, let's take this away from XI, who... How do you pronounce it again? XI?
Zai. Or Zai. Or She,
yeah. We'll just call him XI, I guess. And I think they like counterpick each other with like certain kind of heroes and that kind of stuff. It's actually really, really interesting.
We've some of the picks we saw in the games this morning were quite interesting. Like there's a concept in Dota, and I guess in other games like it, where you talk about the meta, and the meta game is the heroes you tend to see picked and the way that they tend to be played, and that sort of emerges over a bunch of games. A lot of pro players tend to see what other players are doing and seeing what works. Well, you might think, well, why don't they just pick this hero or that hero or any other heroes? There's a sort of, over the course of the tournament, a main core strategy sort of emerges, and most teams either play that or directly try to counter it. So it's kind of an interesting psychological thing about, you tend to pick up something that's worked for someone else and think, well, it'll work for us too. So these are heroes we've seen a lot in this TI.
10 seconds remaining.
What do you think, Blitz? What kind of run do you think LGD are going to make? Do you think they're going to do well against IG, or do you think they're going to struggle?
I think IG is the favorite here. I think every team, actually, before the international actually started, they said, what team are you most worried about? And almost all of them replied IG. They've been looking really sharp throughout the tournament. They won the very last large land leading up to TI ESL,
right,
which is played at a similar venue actually, and that must help as well. Playing it a venue like that. It was a large stadium arena, and so you know these guys don't have nerves. As Shane talked about, they won the International 2,
Right.
with 4 of their 5 original players still here.
And they've got a huge amount of land experience in general.
Oh,
Exactly,
massive,
and
yeah.
so that's not something that'll worry them. Whereas conversely, if you saw the preview, Rabbit is kind of new to this huge stage. Like, this isn't something he's used to, and they said he's our most important player. I think they're trying to prep up his confidence and say, like, you know, you're the guy. You know, you're going to be fine. You're a great player, but no matter what, you still feel that pressure that your team expects you to perform. And Alchemist is the follow-up pick for LGD, and I think they were a little bit confused at what IG's doing. It looks like IG are the ones with the first pick, able to kind of like, or the second pick, able to kind of set the pace and say, like, here's what we have. What are you going to respond with?
Yeah.
Whereas the first pick is the team that goes, okay, here's our first hero. It's the best possible hero.
But they also tend to pick, if you've got to go first, you don't want to pick a hero that is so easily countered.
Exactly.
It's like, okay, well then we get 2 picks, one of them's going to counter yours, and then we'll pick another hero that we like. So, Alchemist being picked up, Alchemist, you can play him in a couple of roles, but he's got a few abilities. Let's just have a look at his ultimate. So, when he uses his Chemical Rage, pulls out a couple of swords, he turns purple, he has a lot of regeneration, his health regenerates very quickly. Sort of like a troll, really, in sort of typical fantasy games and stuff, they have a lot of regeneration. Trolls.
Really?
Yeah. Name any fantasy game. Trolls are famous. If you put up the troll's arm, if you don't kill it with fire, it'll come right back. Anyway, Alchemist is an ogre, basically, I think. So, in any case, he's very good at getting gold. He sprays acid everywhere, and he's very hard to kill.
I think stun's kind of
That is
very
quite a big
important.
one. You got to channel it for up to 6.5 seconds, and then you throw it. The longer you throw it, you channel it for, the more damage it does. But if it doesn't throw it before it breaks, then he gets stunned and does damage to
10
himself. He can
seconds
kill himself.
Yeah, it's like a fuse on a bomb.
Right.
He has to throw it before it
Stuns, when we talk about stuns in Dota, it's literally the hero is stunned, they cannot move, they cannot act, and everyone else in a team fight especially, if you can take a player out of the team fight either with the stun or take them out of position like that, the rest of your team can kill them. And then as Blitz always says, in 4v5, the other team should pretty much try to disengage once a hero's been picked off. Once you're in a team fight, and it's, you know, then it's a bit more difficult. But if they're sort of poking away at each other and deciding, a pick-off can be huge. Venomancer, we saw him in one of the games from the series this morning. He has a number of abilities. One of them is Poison Nova. This is his big team fight contribution, where he sprays poison in a very large AoE, and that poison will continue to tick down and do damage to people.
Yeah, I just pointed out how much mana it costs. Like, it pretty much costs all his mana.
And Gale, which is sort of slow that he does, you'll see them because when you're going for a kill or a gank, you Gale someone, it slows them down a lot, and it makes it much easier for your team to sort of pile in on them. You can see how slow Sven is running there. It lasts a long time. And he also has these little guys called Plague Wards. Plants these, they're like tiny little copies of himself, and they just spit away at people. Good for defending towers, good for pushing, and really good for harassing people in lane. Skyrat's Mage is a hero we've seen a lot. Let's just quickly show his ult, and we'll show Lich's ult. This is Skyrat's ult. Huge amount of damage, similar really to a Sunstrike from Invoker. It doesn't look too dissimilar. He also has a silence, but we'll come to that in a minute. This is Lich's ult, which is a big team point contribution.
10 seconds.
You see that bounce? It does up to 10 bounces. If you imagine that the further away, if the targets get too far away from each other, it will not bounce.
Then
So
look at the
they've got to be
Chronosphere.
relatively close together. If you think about Chronosphere, if you've got heroes locked down in Chronosphere, you're going to get bounces from Lich's ult. So that's a good combo. We didn't mention Earthshaker actually.
Yeah, not at all.
For him. He has a spell called Fisher, which you'll see. What's this? This is Echo Slam. That's his big team fight spell. The more enemies, and that includes enemy units, that are around him, the more damage it does. And Fisher is probably his big team fight spell as well. Really good spell. You cannot cross that barrier of Earth until it dissipates, and you can actually go wrong sometimes. But it's very good for isolating heroes, as Wes was saying in previous casts. Isolating heroes is huge. If Earthshaker gets a good Fisher, that one person is gone for. They're a goner.
You can also use it like really defensively as well. So we saw Death Prophet's ulti and how you can push towers with it. So if Earthshaker wants to defend Death Prophet, he can just place the Fisher and defensively like save him with the. It's a really.
Wall Runner is an interesting pickup here. His ultimate, which unfortunately we can't see, and there isn't a video, but anyway, he gives a sort of battle cry, of sort of and everybody rush, or his entire team has increased move speed and moves much quicker. Very, very good for initiating and running away if you need to do that. But which lineup? I like IG's lineup here a lot. It's a real good team fight and lineup. Like,
I think LGD have a really nice lineup because we talked about the slows from Venomancer and Lich, and then if you think about they can disengage really easily, heal up and go back in. I think Stendarr Warrunner is one of the best heroes for choosing when to fight in the game, and also he can later on in the game he usually gets a blink dagger, and combine that with the Skyrat's ultimate. You know, the center initiates with the speed,
5 seconds
stun,
remaining.
and then Skyrat does his ultimate on top of the Mystic Flare. I think there's a few nice little combinations.
So when we talk really quick, I just want to make the point, if we say he's silenced, that simply means that they can't cast any spells.
Yeah.
So that's what the Ancient Seal
Prepare
blocks
for
off.
battle.
Whereas if you are stunned in Dota, you can't use abilities or items.
Or
Whereas
move.
Yeah.
Or move, yeah.
Yeah. So it locks you down as well. But LGD, this is their base. Ted, if you want to just give a short overview of the Radiant
Just
base.
zoom out.
Nice.
So this is the Ancient. This is what IG are trying to destroy in LGD space. If we just quickly go and look at the Ancient in IG space, this is what LGD are trying to destroy. So going back to the Radiant base, they have a number of structures. You see all these little sort of stone buildings here. This is their base. They want to defend these buildings in particular. These are the barracks. Now be careful how I draw this. These are the barracks. And
Where's the turret?
this here is the tower. Okay, so this tower shoots basically enemies that come within a radius of about like that. Little shoot enemies. Killing towers gives you gold. You have
30
towers going all the way up the lane to mid, and you have to destroy them in order. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then finally the Ancient. Just coming up to the middle, you'll see this river area here. This is represents a sort of midpoint of the map. This is the halfway point, and the map is mirrored on both sides. You've got the Radiant side and the Dire side. The Dire side looks pretty evil. The Radiant side looks nice and pretty.
Yeah, go across the whole map. It gives it a nice feel for a bit.
Yeah, there you go. Whoa! It's
The
pretty good. Look
battle
at that.
begins.
Okay, well, a little jittery, but it works. It works. We also have 3 lanes, what we call lanes. If you look, this is top lane, this is mid lane, and this is bot lane. And you will see now, if you go to Yao on the Invoker in mid lane, you'll see he's walking in front of these creeps, trying to delay their progress down the lane. We'll explain why that is in a minute. These creeps are on your side, if you're on the Radiant side, and you want to sort of help them out and get them to push down the towers and structures and work their way towards the enemy base. And the guys you want to stop are the enemy creeps, these guys in red. They're not very strong on their own, and they give you money if you kill them, but you need them. You can't take down towers easily without creeps around you, and basically you're the sort of hero and they're the army, so you're trying to turn the tide of battle.
You can see the plus 39 or the plus 50 whenever you get the last hit. So yeah, I was trying to manipulate how the creeps move and how he attacks them. So there, Ferrari got the last hit on that creep and gains a bit of gold. So
let's just look at the lanes here. Normally in Dota, when we talk about lanes, we mean literally these lanes, these routes. And some heroes benefit from being in some lanes, and some heroes benefit from being in other lanes. What is it about lanes that means that some heroes benefit from one over another?
Because the distance from the tower to the rest of the lane, and the way that the creeps go, they follow a certain path, and so the Radiant, or the creeps that top for the Dire side, if you notice, the way that they end up when they fight the enemy creeps, it's nearer to the tower, meaning that you're safer. So if you don't necessarily have an escape mechanism or some way to get out, then being near to your tower is a lot more safe. Whereas a hero like Centaur Warrunner, if you notice, he's like a huge guy. He's like a big beefo, you know?
Yeah.
Puts on the muscle, goes to the gym, very much unlike me.
He does the work.
Yeah, exactly.
He's the kind of guy that talks about gains.
Exactly. Or how much he can lift.
Right.
So if you notice, the creeps are a lot further from his tower. When they fight, it's about this point, and look how close the Dire tower is at the top. Whereas conversely, you have to travel all this distance just to get to the creep wave, meaning that there are a lot of points of entry to get ganked or killed. For example, if they were to come in from this jungle area right here, they could go around on you, or from here, or if they hit here. There's just a lot of multiple points of entry. Whereas if you were to gank somebody at top on the Dire side, you could only come in from the front, and so you could back off in time.
yeah.
And there are some heroes that you need. If you have a look in IG's sort of bot lane here, where you've got YYF on the Faceless Void, here is a hero that needs farm and items. His Chronosphere is awesome, don't get me wrong, and they're gonna combo it well with other things. But he also wants to be able to use his Chronosphere and try to kill the one other hero, one of the heroes in the Chronosphere before it's over. That's like a really big part of Faceless Void's contribution to become what we call a carry. He's the hero who, in the later game, will do most of your damage and get most of your kills. If he doesn't get the farm, in other words, the sort of gold that he needs early on, he will fall behind, and it can be very hard to catch up.
Yeah, each hero has like a different part of the game where they're the strongest. Like, for example, Skywrath Mage here, played by EDC, is really, really powerful in the early game because he has a lot of like really cheap spells that he can spam and do lots and lots of damage with it.
If you look at Skywrath Mage's ultimate, which is Mystic Flare, it can actually do 1400 damage at max level. That is extremely strong, but as the game goes on, people tend to build items that give them magic immunity. They also tend to have a lot of health, so the spells that heroes have early on become less important as the game goes on. It tends to be more about your right-click attacks, which is literally, if you're looking at any point in the lane, really, you'll see someone just hit someone with their weapon, or you'll see someone just shoot a projectile. That's your right-click attack. That's your basic attack.
And you can actually buy multiple items in the shop that increase it in different ways.
And your attack speed goes up, and so on and so forth. So that actually becomes the main way you deal damage in the later stages of the game, is literally just punching people.
Oh, here's the stun. The concoction.
Yeah, there it's being charged up.
Oh,
but there he was stunning himself. He couldn't get a good jump, so he didn't go. But you'll often see the outpost charging up, and you can hear the enemy outpost is charging up his stun, so you know it's coming.
Yeah, the big thing there too was that DD, playing the Alchemist, the reason why he rotated to this lane is because Fate has an ability called Sacrifice, which denies a creep here at bottom, and so they were unable to really get going, because every time, if you notice the creep wave, it's all the way up here. It's pushed up, so there's no point of safety, and there's no point in him being there.
Yeah.
As a support, you want to always be able to... There are a few types of supports. For example, Alchemist, if you'll notice, he's a melee hero, so he can't really harass. You're not going to go up and attack another melee hero. It's just kind of pointless, whereas a range hero has a much easier time.
Because you're just going to trade blows with the base.
Exactly, so you'll get the better of it. So if you notice this Lich, you know, he can trade a lot easier than the Alchemist can. So the Alchemist has to be getting kills around the map. The reason you pick a hero like this is for the aggressiveness. If you notice, he's charging the stun out, he's trying to get it on 1YF. The stun strike to follow as well doesn't matter. Razor getting the first kill of the game, and this is so huge because, as we talked about, this is your primary farmer going up against the other primary farmer, able to get that kill. This is kind of the downside of being in what we call the long lane, or the unsafe lane. I don't know, nobody ever calls it the unsafe lane. But
the tricky lane.
Yeah.
And the hard lane, the off lane.
Yeah, the hard lane, the off lane.
None of them are good.
Yeah.
None of that sounds good.
All of it sounds really difficult, and because of the fact that you're going to get harassed a lot, you're not going to see a lot of help come your way. And this is actually kind of unique, the setup that IG have. They've got a support with him at bottom, and the reason why Lich is so good is, of course, the sacrifice ability. It takes away one
really
target.
Good at keeping the lane back, because your creeps, like if you can imagine other creeps, their main focus, if there's not a hero around, really is they punch each other.
Yeah.
And this should be a fairly even contest. It's 4v4 or 5v5 or whatever. The creeps will, there you go, they'll keep punching each other. But if you sacrifice, so in other words, if you remove one of your creeps, like here, you can see that they've only got 3 creeps going up against 4. So what's going to happen is the Radiant creeps are going to win this fight, and they're going to keep pushing, and they're going to push all the way up to here, and then they're going to push all the way up to here. And then, as Bliss was saying, you can sit here and farm them right under your tower, nice and safe. That is the power of Lich in lane. For a while in the Dota 2 meta, you saw Lich in pretty much every game.
They've been kind of increasing his power over and over. But if you look at the way Rabbit is actually attacking the creeps, he doesn't auto attack the creeps, like as in he doesn't just continuously attack them. He tries to wait until they're low, so he doesn't push the lane.
Yeah.
He doesn't want the lane close to the tower at all, because that adds safety for Void.
The main reason you do this, of course, is because the point of entry just becomes a lot scarier. For example, if the mid lane were to rotate over, there are multiple ways that they could gank this Razor. They could come in from here, they could come in through this area as well. So by pushing this lane all the way up here, look, he's completely unprotected at this backside.
That's why they have the wards there, though. The wards actually allow the Razor to know if anyone's coming up the river. If you check the vision real quick, you can see exactly what Razor can see. So he can see all this river. He can actually see behind them. Now this ward here is kind of interesting. This one. Oh. Yeah. It's mainly to see the void, so he can tell when he's moving forward in the lane and allow his supports to understand if he's still there, who's in the lane. It's information is everything in Dota, like knowing where the enemy is and where they're rotating to.
You know, Shane, by the way, if you ping stuff on your screen.
Oh, really?
Yeah, try holding down Alt and ping something.
Okay.
See what you're pinging.
Okay, that's way easier.
This fissure, and look at this really quick before it goes away. it looks like golden spikes and stuff.
Isn't it like gold in carriage?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
That's amazing. That looks really cool. And that's just an anim. It is the fissure. You might get confused if you played a few games and you're like, that's not the fissure. It's just automatic change that allows that. Oh, and that bottom, they're going up. Why again?
Oh, there's that corner hit. And that's
as well. Everybody teleporting down. Ferrari popping the ghost. This is the exorcism that Death Prophet has. Just not fast enough. The ghosts have to have something to target. He's going to get stunned down. That's what that circly thing around him is. And rotating mid for nothing, actually. If you teleport like this, like he did, you can teleport to structures. There is a cooldown on it. It costs money, and you have to walk all the way back to your lane.
That's huge for LGD. That's what the power of that center ulti. That was the noise you heard, like roar. It allows all his team to move really, really fast and avoid team fights when they want to.
Look at all these plague wards up at the top lane, by the way. There were like 7 of them.
Yeah, look at his skill build. So interestingly enough here, there's certain games or certain types of players like to do certain skill builds and there's no set one in Dota. You can kind of do whatever you want. And he's gone for a maxing on the play board. Ooh,
that was nice.
That was the stun strike.
They got a stun strike on him after he was stunned by the Alchemist. That is the Alchemist stun is very, very handy. It's really what we call spammable. In other words, it's a spell with a low cooldown that you can cast a lot, and I think that's basically why Alchemist works as a support.
Oh, that's also why he bought a Soul Ring as well, so he can continuously do it. Basically, he consumes 150 of his life, and it gives him 150 mana.
Just enough sometimes to give you enough mana to cast that spell.
Yeah, it's a very, very good item, especially on strength heroes because they don't have a lot of mana.
They don't really worry about it.
Yeah.
IG smoked up. This means that they are invisible and they can't be seen on the minimap unless they run into a hero. That's the easiest way to put it. Of course, vision is very limited in Dota, but you do have these wards that give you vision, and so what this allows you to do is sneak past them so you won't notice them.
They might bump into DDC here on the Skywrath Mage, but instead they're going to go around the back on the mid. I don't think they're going to get... Oh, look at the Fissure. Yeah,
Storm lands
a little bit of damage. But see, that's the difference with Fissure. Can sometimes block him so they couldn't get to him and kill him. So it's a double-edged sword. You've got to be very careful with the Fissure. So there it stunned him, but it meant that they couldn't chase him.
A really experienced Earthshaker player will not actually click the hero. He'll click on the ground, so he can kind of manipulate where the Fissure actually lands more
Radiant's
effectively.
middle tower is under attack.
But yeah, I'm going to pick up the mechanism on the Joker. The mechanism is an... Oh, and the Stampede, I hear it going off. Top. And she gonna go down on the Venomancer. There's the combination, the Sunstrike falling from the Invoker all the way over here. And what this mechanism does is it's essentially a heal bomb.
Attack.
I love saying that, by the way, Ted. That was the greatest contribution so far, the heal bomb. It allows you to heal your teammates in an area, and Lin, he's got 25 health. PD accidentally stuns himself, and Lin's gonna go in. One hit left and manages to get him. But Razor, in return, able to get the kill as well. They're chasing down this Faceless Void. Invoker with the Cold Snap, gonna pick him off as well. That's a 3-for-1 trade in favor of LGD.
Cold Snap is basically an ability that you cast it on them and it stuns them, like, kind of, you'll hear that kind of noise, and it stuns them really quickly, and every time they take damage, it also stuns them again and again. It's a really, really good.
It's really annoying is what it is.
It is.
As a spell, it's kind of like... Oh, it's kind of cool. And the Blink Dagger, allowing him to move a short distance forward the Centaur. Just a lot of burst damage coming down. Ferrari playing the Death Prophet, that's their mid hero. As a core, the thing you want to do least is die. You want to get as many kills as you can while dying as little as you can. Dying actually loses you gold while giving up experience and gold to everybody in the area around you that died. And this is huge for Yao especially. He's 3-0 and 1 already, just with the Sunstrikes around the map.
He hasn't left his lane at all.
It's so strong. That the Sunstrike, like, it's not just the fact that it does damage, but it's the fact that he can contribute to any gank anywhere else on the map. That's 3 of the kills that they've got so far. The direct result of that Sunstrike.
Oh, and at top, there's the Stampede, the Silence as well. He can't cast any spells.
Okay, so basically why that did so much damage is because Double Edge is a magical attack, and Ancient Seal, Skywrath Silence, it also doubles up as a magic amplification spell that allows the Centaur's Double Edge to do so much more damage.
Yeah, so that did about half of his health instantly, able to blow him up, and LGD in complete control of this game so far. Normally score doesn't matter too much. You're going to see 7-1 and say, oh, well, that's an impossible. How do you get back into that? But it's objectives that matter. But IG haven't even gotten any of the towers down yet.
It's funny what you were saying at the very start. You said that they wanted to give Rabbit, like they were trying to give him a boost because he's like the youngest or the least experienced, I think it was.
Yeah.
I mean, he got first blood, and all the fights been carried on nearish him. He's been involved, you know. It's given them that start. 7-1, it's the kind of confidence boost you need, because they must know they're up against it playing IG.
Yeah, they have to be a little bit nervous. If this game, we haven't talked about it, but whoever loses this game, I believe, is knocked out of the tournament completely.
I think so, yeah.
And so they would be getting 8th place. The prize pool jump alone is worth trying to fight your way out of this. And IG, they did manage to take the mid tower though, so they were able to get this objective down. This gives about, I'd say, 250 gold to everybody on your team. I'm not sure of the exact number. It's kind of irrelevant. It gives all of your team really safe, reliable gold, while it puts the pressure on the other team. Because if you know, a kill will give the equivalent of a tower kill, but it gives it the tower kill everyone. It gives it to everybody, so it's like everybody on the team got killed. So much damage.
Nobody can live.
The Stomp, the Sunstrike, and the Skywrath Mystic Flare just exploding him. How much health? I mean, he must have had about 800 or 900 health, I guess, and he lasted about 2 seconds.
Yeah. So if you notice, both teams picking up a mechanism really early. This is going to be the core item for most teams. It doesn't really seem like it does much, right? Because it doesn't give you damage, it doesn't really give you an escape ability, but what it does is it allows the team fights to be a lot easier. Being able to heal your team for 250, you talk about this item better than anyone I know. It's like you said, look at everybody's health, you know, this guy's 850, 250, you know, that's like a quarter of a heal.
I mean, if you look at something like Sunstrike, just to give an example, Sunstrike, the amount of damage it does is 412. So it's more, you get back more than half of the damage that you take from a Sunstrike. But look how much
to your whole team, though.
Exactly. To everyone in an AoE. So it is huge, and it's funny because as the game goes on, you'll see that even in the late game, sometimes a good mechanism, a well-timed mechanism in a fight can turn the tide. It really can make the difference. Save a key hero, they're able to get one more spell off. Because what Blitz was saying when he was talking about pickoffs and why it's so important is that let's say we're LGD and we're fighting against IG. If all 5 heroes are up, that's all 5 of those spells and combination spells that you'll potentially face.
On top, the Mystic Flare. Yeah, it looks like giant, unholy lasers from the sky, just like smiting you to death.
So let's say that you're LGD and you get a pickoff on Faceless Void with the Chronosphere. You know you're not going to have to face Chronosphere in that fight. It completely changes the way you fight. You don't need to worry so much about Chronosphere being picked off like that. So
oh my god.
This Centaur was a great pickoff.
And at bottom, able to get a double kill by himself, Lin. This is so huge. The Stampede ability, if you pass through them, it slows them while doing damage. So able to just close the distance on both heroes, getting a double kill and a top. They pick up an objective for themselves, able to get this first tower down. LGD so far completely
level 11 as well. So that 11, like, all his spells are much higher level than, say, IG spells.
He's extremely strong.
Yeah,
and he's bought an Ogre Club. Ogre Club gives you extra strength. He's going to be even tougher once he picks it up. So just have a look at Centaur Warrunner, just walking back to the base when he picks up his item. That was like nearly 200 extra health just there. It's crazy.
At bottom, they are getting on RPG. There's the chemical range though. He is healing a little bit. The Sunstrike misses, the Mystic Flare misses. Are they going to be able to pick up DDC? No, not able to chase that down, but IG, they're grouped up. If you're going to group up like this, you have to take something down.
But then look at mid, look what the Invoker's doing. He's using the Forge Spirits to push the terror, and he also has the mechanism as well to heal up his creep.
Yeah, this is a lot better trade for LGD, although they should be able to both get towers down. LGD was able to do it with 2 heroes, whereas IG, they have to commit an entire, their entire 4-man squad just to take down this one tower. And at bottom, Fissure flies as well. She is the target, he's the Venoman. He manages to get it off his ultimate. He still has the mechanism. No mechanism in sight for LGD as Yao is still in this middle lane. And at bottom, she is still alive. They do manage to pick up the tower as well. IG able to get out. And at bottom,
yes, there's that Chronosphere. Right, just TP out. He knows the job is done.
He wanted to defend middle lane.
Middle, he's able to pick off the tower as well. That's 2 towers for the cost of 3 of your teammates. That's not too bad if you really think about it. This is a Razor. Yeah, he is a big target. but the Skywrath Mage and the Alchemist not too big at all.
The other thing is the Razor's been pretty much left alone. I mean, he's leading the way in farm. So yes, it sucks that he died, but it's like, well, I've got a buffer, and I just got over like nearly 500 gold because of these 2 towers. Also, why is it the towers are so important mid? Well, let's have a look at Roshan, because he should be coming up soon. This big guy right here, if you kill him, and he does have 9,500 health, so it normally requires a good chunk of your team to do it. If you kill him, he drops the Aegis of the Immortal. That's your mushroom in Mario, that's your 1-up. That gives you an extra life if you die. So, without this tower here, LGD can go and do this.
They're actually checking.
Worry about people teleporting here and then coming to stop you here. So you've got they've got to walk this extra distance here will now need to be crossed, and it's just much easier to get a Roshan with those towers gone.
So LGD noticed that there was no IG guys in their vision. So if you look, they have vision up here with the, I should ping on my map here. They have vision here, and they didn't see anyone on the map. So they're like, okay, they could be doing Roshan potentially. So they used the Sunstrike, which gives a tiny bit of vision to try and scout it out.
Yeah, IG just continuing to move around the map. They're in a bit of disarray. LGD content to just farm up on the heroes, kind of slow down the pace of the game. IG, we talked about how much of a favorite they were coming into this game. LGD almost didn't even make it to the tournament. They had to play a tiebreaker just to get in, and now, you know, they've got one of the younger, less experienced teams, and now they're really taking it to IG, able to get enough farm on Rapid on this Razor. Once he gets his Aghanim Scepter, it's going to boost the Eye of the Storm ultimate, and the biggest thing that it allows you to do is it allows you to hit towers with it.
Didn't they finish, was it third in CI2? LGD?
Yes.
With just the same team except for 1 player?
2?
Okay. 2 players.
It was funny because in the qualifiers we watched them, and I think they had a couple of games they had to win.
Yeah, they did.
And they just sort of busted it out and just ran at people for like the entire game. I mean, this has been a really aggressive match in terms of team fight. Here goes
and over here the stun, it flies onto the Lich.
Faith. He's okay. I think what happened there was
Dire's top tower.
If you look at Sunstrike,
oh, look at top. Oh, that combination.
That's nice. If you look at Sunstrike, what it actually does is it doesn't do that damage to everyone in the area. It divides it among targets in the area. So if you hit just 1 person on their own, it does a lot of damage. If you hit 2 or 3 people with it, it actually does less. So I think Shrine knew the Sunstrike was coming next to Lich, so the damage will be split between them. It was a good team play.
It's a really good skill shot too. Sunstrike doesn't just immediately fly. There's like a 2-second delay on it, so you can guess the as we talked about. They're going to go for the Roshan, but look, was he able to steal it? And he denies the Aegis of the Immortal.
Oh my god.
Everybody on IG falling down. That's 3 down for them, and the other 2 are thinking about going in, but LGD, they actually just let IG get it really low for them.
Yeah.
Were they able to sneak the kill as well?
It doesn't say.
I'm not
It actually doesn't say. I don't know.
But IG did take down the Roshan, but they weren't able to get the Aegis on it, which is the big thing, that extra token. And LGD able to get 3 kills on the heels of that. They are going to go for this bottom tier 2 tower as well. Complete control of this game so far.
Yeah, I think LGD are completely in charge. That's how, I mean, if you look at Razor's farm, he has 133 last hits, Invoke has 112. The Death Prophet has 109, Venomance has 77, so they're really, look at Faceless Void's farm's got 47 last hits, he's not had the kind of game he needs. So just look at the gold graph a second. In 21 minutes, LGD are up by 10,000 gold. That is absolutely huge.
It has a lot to do with them being able to win team fights and push after it though. They've been getting the split push going with Invoker and his Forward Spirit, but they've been actually getting towers after they win fights. And they even increase how well they can do that. The Rabbit, the Razor player, has got an Aghanim Scepter, which allows his ultimate to hit buildings and it does more damage as well.
Yeah, the cool thing about LGD's lineup too is the Invoker was the big pickup here. He has an ability that allows him to summon 2 minions, and he has an item also that allows him to summon minions. So he, just by himself, is able to push out towers, whereas for IG to safely push out a tower, they need to commit so many heroes, and there's the combination again. The Sunstrike falls from the Invoker. He's now 4-0, really getting big. There are 4 heroes on every single one of them, have 4 kills. At max combined, they have 1 death between the 2 of them.
Amazing.
And if you look at the minimap, you can kind of take a feel for the game. You can see where IG are. They're kind of towards their face and kind of bunched up, and LGD are like so aggressive and up in their face. Like look where DD is here, the Alchemist. He's so so aggressive. On the other side of the tower, he isn't afraid
Dire's
at
top
all.
tower
Yeah,
has
and all
fallen.
5 of IG's members, they're around this area. They're just starting to show signs of weakness over here. They're not entirely sure what to do. And the scary thing for them is that for them to pick off one hero, they need to commit at least a minimum of 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Whereas because of the Sunstrike, just the Centaur can find one hero, stomp them into the ground, hold them in place. The Invoker's able to Sunstrike, and that's enough to kill pretty much anybody on the map.
I mean, I also think if you look at Skywrath Mage, one of the best things about Skywrath Mage, I mean, his weakness is he's very flimsy. If you look at him, he's level 11, which is not like low level, but he still doesn't even have 800 health. That's nothing. Compare that to, say, Centaur, who has nearly 1800 health. So Skywrath Mage is a fairly weak character, but his spells are very long range. If you look at Mystic Flare, it travels a really far distance. So if Faceless Void goes in, Chronosphere someone, he's going to have to eat a Mystic Flare right from Skywrath Mage, so it's going to be really difficult for him. The other thing is, Razor's static link persists through Chronosphere, so if he can see the Faceless Void coming, get his static link off on him, he's going to be static linked the entire time he's in the Chronosphere, even with Faceless Void punching him, and Razor's really hard to kill too. So at this stage, IG have a team that, whilst it looks like it's a strong teamfight lineup, to me, it's actually against LGD's lineup, it's going to get crushed.
Yeah, not to mention the Invoker, who actually has a spell called Deafening Blast, which basically shoves a load of kind of energy forward and stops people from attacking. So you're disarmed is what it's called in Dota. You can't actually attack. There. Yeah, that's kind of neat. Is this new? Is it where it shows damage, exhaust, knockback?
No, I think it's been around for a while.
Okay.
But they might have just done it for this. I don't play the hero too much, so I don't actually...
I've never seen it before.
You're not good enough, that's
Really not.
what it is.
My team always complains that I can't play that hero, but I'm actually amazing at it. There's nothing bad that I do. At everything.
Except for like
That's not even limited to Dota.
Yeah.
limited.
This is not the Blitzcast. This is the Noobcast.
You guys can all just kind of... Oh, I can't actually use that term that I was going to use.
no god.
Yeah, don't.
But LGD continuing to farm up. IG... There's not a whole lot that they can do. They're going to try to pick off Yao here. Remember, he does have the mechanism. He should be able to pop it. No, he's not going to be able to pop it. He did have a little bit of time. DDC, really low HP, able to force staff over the cliff. He should be okay now. LGD, they're on the offensive. They realize, okay, they've used everything for this. Ferrari able to get the heal off from the mechanism. Both BKB needing their magical muse.
Look at that.
It's so dramatic looking.
Oh, and Ferrari gets picked off by the Sunstrike. He's going to go down as well. I think he actually fought back for that, but being able to kill the Death Prophet, he has no ultimate up either now. So LGD, they're free to go around the map, do whatever they want now.
YYF actually got a time lock, which is his third ability. So every time he auto attacks, he stuns the target.
Oh, and it's mid, the big Echo Slam comes down, but he should go down instantly as well. Earthshaker and Venomancer go down 1-2 off the bat. YYF playing the Void, he no longer has the Chronosphere. He can't enter the fight. Faith playing the Lich, he doesn't have the Chain Frost up. They can't safely engage, and LGD realize that. They said all their ultimates are up. Ours are going to come back up soon. Let's just take down the mid tower.
Oh my god. Very aggressive.
That Lich ult, the sort of glowing golden effect you saw was two heroes being immune to magic. Called the Black Cane Bar. We often abbreviate it to BKB. Just quickly as Faith gets exploded by the Centaur there. The Black Cane Bar makes you immune to magic damage and stuff. So the Lich ult was bouncing, but absolutely nothing was happening to them.
Radiant's bottom tower
Rabbit's
is
going
under
to take down
attack.
this last barracks right here. Taking down the barracks means a lot to both teams. What does it actually do for LGD here?
It makes your creeps stronger. I know that sounds weird. You'd think it would make their creeps weaker. It does kind of, but your creeps basically stay the same, but the enemy's creeps are made stronger. So you take down a Rax, your creeps get tougher, they push harder, and this is the point of the game. We were talking about what we call lane equilibrium, so you want to maintain the lanes at certain points. As the game goes on, you want the lanes to push, because now it's game time, and you're going to go and crush the enemy's base. So this is the different stage of the game. We're now in the sort of late mid-game, one might say, and you're sort of pushing into the enemy's base, taking Rax, and then now it's extremely hard for IG to get out, because as the game goes on, you don't sit in a lane and farm. You tend to get your farm more in the jungle, and from fights and from things like Roshan and Ancients. And as your map is compressed, you get less time outside the base because you're defending so much. You end up being stuck inside your base, and you're not happy though. You're sad.
You're sad. if you look at the wards as well from LGD, they're trying to keep them even closer in. They have 2 really aggressive wards that they placed after they got the wreck. So IG are like completely trapped. If they can't see them with these wards, they know A, they're either in the jungle, farming in their jungle. All 5 heroes sharing the entire jungle. Like, compare that with what LGD are doing here. Like, they're farming bottom, they're farming ancients. Like, oh my god. It's a really tough spot for IG. What would you do, Blitz, if you were trying to get out of this situation?
I would have to smoke. The smoke of deceit allows you to kind of roam around the map that's visible, but it's so risky because you're committing so many heroes just to get 1 or 2 pickoffs, and you're not getting any objectives on top of that. IG, at this point in the game, effectively they're shut out of their base. You know, they can't make moves because anytime they get picked off as 5, if they're gonna smoke like that, they have to go as at least 3.
Yeah.
And if they go and get picked off like that, the game is essentially over for them.
The other problem is it depends who they run into.
Exactly.
Like you go on a smoke, you bump into Centaur.
He laughs at you.
He's gonna fight you back at you.
Exactly. He's like, cool, now I get a bunch of you to do damage to, and we've got Sunstrike, and luckily my chum Skywrath Mage, who's basically barely left his side the entire game, just nukes you with the...
Why would you leave his side? He's so awesome.
Yeah, this combination, just the 2 of them. You notice, IG, they've had to commit so many heroes just to get any sort of movement around the map, but just the 2 of them able to get any 2 heroes down on the map, and the Chronosphere fortified. He's taking a lot of damage, but that's what Ted talks about. He zoned out of his own Chronosphere, and LGD on the move, pushing forward. IG, casualties left and right. YYF on the Void, able to buy back, and now they retreat. Juan catches the Centaur with the stun, and LGD, they have to move back, but that wasn't too bad of a trade for them. I think they'll just continue to push.
Yeah. That was what I was talking about, the Skywrath Mage range, as you said, zoned him out of his own Chronosphere. Now, Void without his Chronosphere,
What is he?
and no farm.
He's not the
look
Time
what
Lord
he's done.
anymore.
He's got nothing. I think it was a big mistake to put him in the off lane. I don't think it worked for them, and with him not being scary, and up against a really... Razor has got a ton now, so what can they do? I really don't get it. There's the stun from Lin into top lane. But the Sunstrike, well, not needed. This
Oh my
Jet
god,
down too.
the
But
courier got us!
it. So the courier is that little golden kite dancing around there. That's actually the golden Doomling that they've got right there. That thing's, well, probably the most coveted courier in Dota at the moment. This guy, we haven't spoken about him. He's a unit that you control. You have to purchase one from the shop, and he will ferry items around for you. So let's say I've bought an item, I can get the courier to bring it out to me, just like a courier in real life.
Radiant's
but he can
top
also be
tower
controlled.
is
And
under
just
attack.
then, the Venomancer died. He dropped the gem of True Sight, which is a gem that lets you see invisible heroes and invisible wards, and but was able to recover it with a courier. Very clever play.
Dire's bottom tower.
Should be able to get the Lich just fairly soon. Ferrari pops his BKB as well, but not going to really change much for them. And LGD, they're going to get their second lane of racks now. And once you're able to get 3, you should have even stronger creeps.
Dire's
IG
bottom
will call
barracks
this. It'll be a
has
GG,
fallen.
which means good game and game over. Because they don't see how they can come back. How can they come back? Especially once this Roche goes down, I failed to see IG's route back into the game.
It's not so much, maybe they want to talk about strategies for the next game, or like it's also, like they mightn't be playing the game to win now, but they might have to stay have time now to talk about what happened, what went wrong, what heroes we can choose next game. There's a lot of strategy involved in it as well.
The sad thing is, even if they were to, I mean, normally if you think about Roche, look at this area that you have to fight in. This is the one thing you don't want in Dota is to be compressed into a space like this. Compression is bad because there are a lot of AoE spells. If you look at Earthshaker's Echo Slam, if he blinks in an Echo Slam and all 5 of you around Roshan, it's easy for him to get a kill or 2. You've got Chronosphere as well, but IG know that if they go into the pit, LGD are actually going to be like, great, we want to fight.
Thank you. Like, look at the amount of health that Razor has. How is anyone on IG going to kill this guy? He has
crazy.
3,200
And
lives.
2 lives.
And
a BKB.
So he essentially has like 6,400 lives for you to destroy. Like,
Crazy.
I don't know.
And across all that time, he's going to be doing damage with his ult, and he's going to be zapping you with his electric whip. By the way, if you're running one, he's called Razor, Electric Razor. That's literally the best I can come up with. Mad, isn't it?
But
Razor?
LGD gonna push up this mid lane. I think the best place for IG to fight, and they've taken fights here, is in this small confined area. This is the downside of pushing up a base. If you're pushing down a tower over here, you've got a lot of area to move in. If you're pushing up a base like this, you have to be stacked up in this corner over here. But they're just gonna send Rapid and sacrificial offering. They're gonna say, okay, try to kill me, but it doesn't matter. Lin gonna go in as well. Instantly, the tornado flies as well from the Evoker. popped instantly. Earthshaker gonna go down as well. There's nobody down for LGD, just so tanky. They're gonna take too far ahead. IG finally gonna call it good game. And LGD
Dyer's
take game
top
one.
tower has fallen.
I've got to say, LGD seems to be one of those teams who they get up ahead of steam and they just... We saw it in one of the games, Cloud9 against Na'Vi. In fact, it was the third game of that playoff. And Cloud9 got a start and just never stopped fighting. They just pick off. The combination of Centaur, Skywrath and Invoker in that absolutely won them the game. Fantastic play.
That was also due to the laning though, because of them sending Venomancer 1v1v Centaur. It allowed Centaur to get more higher levels and get that early start.
Well played to LGD. We'll be seeing them in the next